Good morning, welcome to day 65 of Geriatric 1944's Coronavirus Diaries. Today I want to talk about my use of pseudonyms. I will go into that in a moment as a singer, but again, briefly touching on the coronavirus. Since yesterday's diary, I've had quite a few contacts saying, why am I going on about this whole thing? My claim that the media misused its position and exaggerated and inflated the original Wuhan claims. The point is, if you actually misinterpret how bad and what coronavirus is, the way you deal with it may very, very well be completely different. As we all know, certain places, South Korea, Greece, Taiwan, New Zealand and so on, dealt with it in a certain way. Other places, the Death 4 in particular, in their own way. It led to great, huge gaps in the difference. So one of my friends in Switzerland has been saying, come on, you're not taking this seriously enough. And I'm going, yeah, hang on. If you look at the deaths compared in ratio to the population of the country, in Switzerland, it's just over 200 per million people have died. This is actually a really trivial low amount. Almost anything under, say, 400 or so, 400, 450, is a pretty trivial amount. Even more than that, and believe me, the Death 4 have got more than that, isn't a huge chunk. I noticed checking on statistics, in the United Kingdom alone, every year, 165,000 people die of cancer, most of which is connected to them smoking. Now I'm going, why do we suddenly take this trivial virus, coronavirus, so seriously as to stamp out social economy and everything else, when we pay no attention to these other deaths coming from other areas, road accidents and so on. Now, yes, you can't ban all driving the way society has developed, but you certainly could ban smoking. I would ban cigarettes completely. Yes, it would mean the government would take a little hit with the tax on cigarettes. So you live with that. It's not going to cost you as much as closing down society, but the net result is you probably save 100,000 of those lives. 100,000 people who die every year wouldn't die if cigarettes were banned. You'd probably have a death count of around 65,000 as opposed to 165,000. Anyway, there we go. The other thing is, looking at all the coronavirus all over the world, it does seem that it lasts, an infection or an epidemic or whatever, lasts for a couple of months, no matter how the countries deal with it. Some, like South Korea, they're having their second spike today, I see. 40 people have got it. That's not deaths, that's just people who've caught it. It's like catching the flu. There's going to be a little bit of it, but after 2 months, it seems to die away. Now, I'm a little worried that the Southern Hemisphere, when it goes into their winter period, we know that may be much worse and it might spread much more among countries that aren't getting sunshine and that vital vitamin D. I'm taking a supplement every day, by the way. But other than that, no matter how you deal with it, after a couple of months, it seems to die away. And all this rubbish about second peak and the R number and everything else is forgotten. Anyway, there you go. That's my feelings on that. I was going to talk about me making records under different names. The reason I did that was really quite simple. I reckoned I was making an awful lot of hit songs. This was in the early 70s. And that I'd be better off putting them out under different names where people didn't know it was me. And that way radio stations could play 3 or 4 of my tracks all at the same time, and I could have 3 or 4 hits all at the same time under different names that they didn't know who they all were, and sell many more copies of records. And indeed that happened. I'm reliably informed by the collection societies that during my singing career, and this is not me as a producer, You remember when I produced bands like Genesis and so on. This is me as a singer, as a vocalist, under various different pseudonyms. And I'm told I sold over 40 million records around the world. A lot of those were on compilations. Here, for example, is an example of one of the compilations that sold loads and loads of copies. I hope you're seeing that all right. You never know with these cameras whether they mirror it around the wrong way. But anyway, it did sell an awful lot. Yes, that's an example of the hits I had under other names. In fact, let me play you that one to move out of today's diary. It's a song about a man visiting a prostitute. I found it when it originally came out in Greece, where it did very well in Greece, but of course it didn't transfer to other countries, so I covered it, made my own version in a very deep voice, singing a bit like that, and put it out under the name Shag, which made me giggle because the word shag is a colloquialism for having sex. And I really enjoyed the fact that the BBC would play the record 6 or 7 times a day and say, and that's the sound of Shag with Loop de Love. But it was, of course, just me, Jonathan King. I think it sold about 5 million around the world on all the various compilations and as a hit single. It was like top 5 in the UK for several weeks. A very big hit, very catchy, rather fun. So I'll see you tomorrow, and I leave you with today's diary closure, which is me under the name Shag singing Loop de Love. See you tomorrow.
I saw you walking down the street. Your hair was hanging to your knees. Your waist was waving like a ship. The way you looked made me sick. I wished a glance you gave a smile. I couldn't breathe, felt really high. Some other man was standing round. He looked at me and made me proud. I asked you, baby, what's the time? You looked right deep into my eyes. It made me brave and soon you smiled. Said, what you gonna do tonight? I'm in the mood of going out. You held my hand and then we went to different places till I said, come on and let us go to bed. It made me sing a look